Hey, this is Max at 343 Labs. We're a music production school based in New York City, Berlin, and online. And today I'd like to show you a clip by one of our instructors, John Selway, which is taken from 343 TV, which airs right here on our channel several days per week. Now, if you want to watch the full stream, head over to studio.343labs.com, link in the description, which is our new producer hub where you can meet other producers, get free content, collaborate, and get feedback on your music. Enjoy the clip.
All right. So we left off last time. I kind of went over this project that I had started, and it was kind of in a tougher, rumbly techno direction with some percussion going on. And so I have, now I got to figure out, I feel like I'm at the point where I want to start laying out the parts and arranging it. And I did add a couple of things since last time. Anyway, just for everybody, let's hear what some of you guys might have not been here 2 weeks ago. This is where we are starting from, right? Got this rolling, rumbly, thumping groove. It's not ballistically hard. It's not crazy industrial, but it's definitely powerful, right? Got some percussion to throw in there. All right, bring those things in and out. I have this sequence, this kind of metallic, percussive, melodic kind of element in the background. Which I think I wasn't sure if I wanted to use it last time. It was kind of going in a darker, more hypnotic direction with that element, but I like it as a layer, just rather than a main kind of element that comes up front. I like it as a percussive layer kind of in the background that's sort of floating up and down. So I'm going to keep that in there, just not as like the main thing, right? Yeah, when you hear it in the background like that, it sounds like just part of the drum loop, right? But if I want to, I can bring it up and build it out into a brighter, fuller sound later. All right. Now, I have this stab sound that I think I'm going to ditch, all right? It's sort of, I like it and I don't like it, so that's a maybe right now. Here's one of the new elements that we have. Totally different vibe for me. I think this is just sort of what I was feeling today. I wanted to not have it be just dark and atmospheric, but have a little bit of a harmonic element in there. So I got this kind of weird chord stab going on. It's like out of tune on purpose a little bit, actually. And like, it's got the echo on it. It's not too dubby. And I feel like it adds a richness to it and a moodiness to it, but doesn't take the energy down. And then if I want to bring the energy up, I can just brighten it up. Right? So I feel like this is a pretty big departure from the overall vibe that was happening last time. It was definitely sort of more stark. Not dark exactly, but like, had this kind of strong, thumping, rolling vibe. I want to ride this balance. I want to have it like have this energy, but also have some, a little bit of harmonic something in there. All right, so that's what we got in terms of the new elements. I also was thinking like, what if I exaggerate that chord stab sometimes with a clap? Because that's another layer of percussion that I didn't really have. It was all like hi-hats and drum loops. Now I've got this kind of noisy clap, bright layer that I can bring in on top. And that kind of is going to help. It's going to fit along also with these rides that I have. All right, so those are the new elements, the chord and the clap. And then I have, okay, I changed the key. Like I transposed it up a half step for those chords, so I need to fix the tuning, I think, of that metallic stab, but that's for an occasional stab here and there, maybe. We got this white noise sample that I found randomly, which should work. And then we have our percussion. I like the vibe of these a lot. And it works pretty well with the chord stabs. Like they're kind of talking to each other a little bit. Right. Peter Boss, again, called it. Call and response with the stabs. All right. And then, of course, I did it again. There's that little vocal chop, which is also doing some talking back and forth with the chord stab. And I think that, should be enough. I think that should be enough to start arranging. Cool. Alrighty. Jamie Wilson just asked, was that vocoder in the claps? Yes. Well, it's a little sound design thing that I do a lot, actually. Like on a snare or a clap, putting some white noise that's tracking, right? It's like adding a reverb, but it's not a reverb. It's white noise. It's envelope following the input, right? Just adding a little bit of interesting life to that sound. This needs I haven't totally mixed this yet. Probably needs a compressor or something on it, but. And that's definitely something to put in the arrangement, is automating the release on that vocoder noise. Easy trick to build up energy, right? Okay. So now here's the thing. How do I start arranging this? Do I start building it one block at a time from the first bar? Do I hit record and just jam out and do it in real time and kind of perform it and capture some ideas? Or do I do it another way? I feel like today I need something to focus me. I have hardly done any music or any kind of stuff in the studio in the last couple of weeks. I've just been taking it easy, taking care of myself. This week I did a couple of 343 studio things, but basically my mind has been out of this. So I feel like I could use a structure to focus me and break out of the loop. Right now, I feel like the loop is just sucking me in. Like I could just put this on and listen to it and not get anything done, because it's like, right, that groove right there I'm feeling it. So what I'm going to do is just record all of that, or copy and paste. That would work too. I'm just going to record all of that. Yeah, Sean Hodson called it. Sean does arrangements by addition and subtraction. We're gonna start with subtraction. That is what we're gonna do. We're doing subtractive arranging. That is the form that I'm gonna fit my wandering mind around into. All right, I've already let it play way long enough. Okay. All right, so, there's something I'm going to have to deal with later. The mono sequencer doing that metallic kind of percussion sequence, there's no clip. That's just playing in real time. We'll come back to that. So anyway, I just recorded that in there, and I didn't have to record it for 25 or 26 bars or whatever. Let's hit the back to arrange button. But the main thing is that I have to record it as long as the longest clip, right? That's the main thing. And then let's just, in fact, I'm just going to take this back to 16 bars and duplicate this out. I'm sure many of you are familiar with this kind of method of arranging. It's pretty straightforward, right? Pretty commonly known. But yeah, I'm just duplicating and copying it all out. Let's just start with 5 minutes, right? This doesn't need to be a crazy long track. It may end up being longer or shorter, who knows? But that's what we're starting with. All right. Now here's an interesting question from David Bora. Can we think in terms of verse, chorus, etc. with techno? Sure. I mean, verse, chorus are literally referring to vocal performance, right? The verse is when you're telling them, you have the main melody and the main part of the story, and then the chorus is the repeated hook refrain that's sort of accentuating and, the main point of the story, right? But it's still like, you can think of it as an A section and a B section. And if you were making techno with vocals, you absolutely could do verse, chorus, right? But you also could think in terms of part A, part B, part C, 1, 2, 3. It doesn't have to follow a specific kind of song-oriented structure. But yeah, I guess, if in your mind you're thinking verse section, chorus section, you can. But if you're not actually using vocals and you don't have a chorus, but you could think of it as like your chorus could be like the main melody that comes in and out, right? That could be, so you could think of it that way, sure. All right. Now, another thing that's, actually I should mention this, do you hear that little splash of reverb? That is some automation in the percussion, one of the clips in the percussion, right? At the very beginning of this clip, there's it's just hitting one, it's sending one beat, one little quarter note or 16th note or something long of, just so you're hearing one drum from that loop going through the reverb every time the clip starts. And then it loops after that, right? Every time I re-trigger that clip. Right, so now if I put that in here, every time that clip is duplicated and starts from that first beat, you're going to hear that splash. But just that sort of general concept, a lot of times before I even get into the arranging view, I'm already starting to think about what's going to happen in the arrangement from the clip side of things in the session view. So like, that drum loop it's really only looping a quarter note in length, but it's set up to have this variation every time the clip re-triggers. But I also might, let's say I want to have a kick drum drop out every 16 bars. You could think ahead. And, this is 1 bar of 4 beats, but I might duplicate that to be 8 bars and then remove the last one. And now I have a little kick drop out at the end of 8 bars or whatever. Maybe that's something you want to do in your arrangement. So if you do it in the clip from the beginning, it's already there. You just need to make sure it plays that long in the arrangement view. All right. But so that's just something to keep in mind. Like you can do this subtractive arranging thing, but before you even get to that, you can start to design arrangement moves into your clips before you bring them over. Just remember that when you bring them over, to make sure that they're playing long enough so that you hear those changes and they are where you want them to. You may end up moving them around later, but just something to keep in mind. All right, so the next sort of step of this is, all right, I've got 5.5 minutes of this groove playing. How do I want it to start? So I'm going to remove some stuff. I'm going to decide what I don't want to hear. All right, that is still soloed. And let's go back to arrangement. All right. Too much to start with, right? I mean, there are techno tracks that just go like DJ tools and they just sound the same all the way straight through. But I think we need a little bit more building up, down, and tension and release, right? All right, so I'm going to bring in the chords later. I'm going to bring in the clap later. So I'm just deactivating those. All right. That's more like the level that I want to start at. Maybe even without that, all those hi-hats. And I've got a layered kick. I've got a bright one, thin one for a transient, and then I've got a darker, dirty one for the bass C kind of layer. So I could start just with that. Although it doesn't sound that great by itself. It might work later. Yeah, let's start strong. And then if I take the sub kind of rolling rumble out, it doesn't sound great either, does it? So I think we should just start. Let's just start. Start strong. And you can hear already, like, just turning these things on, what you might want to have happen next. But I'm not going to go too deep into detail here. I'm just going to decide where I want to start. All right, I'm thinking as I listen to it, what do I want to have happen next? Should just go straight into that hi-hat maybe. That works. All right. And then let's see how it works with that big splash of reverb and that drum loop coming in at 33. The other ones weren't supposed to come in. It was just that drum loop. And just as a reminder, every time it repeats, it's going to do that splash again. So if I don't want to have it do that reverb automation, I'm going to need to drag this over. Oops. There we go. All right, I don't want the clap to come in. Now, some of these parts will come in suddenly, and in a lot of techno, you'll hear, instead of something just start clearly, you'll have it fade in or filter in or have some other kind of thing modulating, automating, bringing it in slowly. So this might be where I want to start filtering up or fading up the chords rather than just have them strong, right? But what I'm going to do now, I've got about the first minute sort of roughly mapped out, and I'm already thinking ahead. All right, I want to have something automating. I want to have something kind of fading in and out. I want some kind of other thing happening within that minute, but the rough structure is there. And the next thing I'm going to do is kind of do the opposite at the end. I'm going to listen to the end, maybe the last minute or so. Maybe we'll drop that clap out. Okay. That's a valid move. Just the clap going out is a good change. I'm going to drop that hi-hat out. Taking that higher drum, the conga kind of out a little bit. Okay. And that's how it's going to end. I'm going to leave the chords in. All right. So this is still really rough, yeah? This is still like just the bare bones shape, but it's a shape, and it's giving me somewhere to go. I've just got to keep chiseling away at this. And it's not all going to be subtractive. There are going to be times where I go in and copy things over, or I drag in new things, or, you know, we haven't even touched automation yet. And we're just thinking about it. I like this subtractive process as I mean, it's great if you're not quite there yet with arranging and you're trying to break out of a loop and you need something to just force you out of it. I think this is a good one. And then, you know, I could arrange all sorts of different ways. And, you know, a lot of times I don't always work this way, right? But today I'm feeling like I need a little thing to focus me. So I'm using it as a tool, right? It may be a bit limiting in a way. But I also know it's just a starting point, because there's a point at which, you know, with the subtractive arranging is it doesn't, it's not subtractive all the way through. It's a starting point, right? There's going to be a point at which the subtractive becomes less important, and now you're looking at what does the track really need, right? So you can't just only take away all the time. There's a next step here, all right, to this this subtractive arranging process that's forcing me into an arrangement when I don't feel like it. I got the beginning roughly. I've got the end very roughly. Now let's pick a space in the middle, right? And I don't want to do like a big, long, ravey, huge build up in the middle. So I'm not going to like delete the kick drum for 32 bars or something necessarily. But, you know, you can kind of see the way this is mapped out. It's like 32 bars, 32 bars, 32 bars. So somewhere around, you know, maybe like I could divide this up in thirds and have sort of three main bigger sections, or I could cut it in half and, you know, take some beats out or make some changes in the middle. Let's try that. Let's just try. I'm going to mute just the lower layer of the kick and keep the higher, more transient, kind of punchy one in the middle here. High energy, easy trick just to find contrast. That clap, the reverb on the drum loop kind of sounded good right there. Definitely sounds should be changing, moving, things should be automating here. Maybe like new elements coming in. This is definitely long enough. I don't want to have longer than 30-second break here. I don't know if this is exactly the contrast that I definitely want. Like maybe I'm going to leave the chords in, maybe I'm going to leave a clap in, but what I'm looking for is points of contrast. So here, no, here's this long section without the kick, and then when the kick comes back, something has to change, right? I mean, I don't want it to just simply be kick drum comes out, kick drum comes back in. I want it to be kick drum drops out, kick drum comes back in, and something very different happens so that it switches up the vibe a little or switches the energy enough. Like what happens if I take the vocal out there maybe? How far can I break it down when I bring the kick drum back and still keep the energy up? Took out the hi-hat as well. Too much, maybe? It depends. I don't know yet whether that's going to work. Right? So, anyway, this is, again, I'm not trying to be perfect yet. What I want to do is just figure out or have a structure to work from. And then now that I have that, I've got a starting point, I've got an ending point, and I've got some variation in the middle. Now I can go back and start to finesse it and figure out, what am I missing? What do I need to change? What can I start doing in terms of automation? What about the other clips that I didn't put in there already? Like I didn't use this hi-hat. Like that's probably something I can bring in the beginning. And there's that nice metallic percussion here. Maybe let's do that. Let's bring in a little bit of automation, and so there's something happening. A little tonal change to that. I'm just gonna, just to be fast, I'm doing that 32 bars of automation and duplicating it and copying it over on a separate lane. All right, and here maybe I want to have, no, actually no, I could wait on that sort of shakery hi-hat. Let's put it in here. Things don't always have to come in exactly 8 bars every 8 bars, 8 bars, 8 bars. They can come in whenever it seems like it's a good idea. All right, now that's out of nowhere, right? That chord progression? I mean, the chord stab. So I gotta think about that. Do I want to just bring it in straight at a bigger change, or do I want to sneak it in with the filter or something? Once it's in there, I like it. So I need to figure out the best way to sneak that in. All right, that's too soon for the vocal. And right here is so much energy. No, definitely had to wait on the clap. And look at that, right where that kick drum drops out, about in the middle, would be maybe a good place for that clap to happen. So that's sort of the kind of thing, all right, that I'm looking for by having that kind of arbitrary I think I want to make a variation of this vocal where it doesn't loop as often. So we're getting there, all right? We're getting there. That's the whole point of this exercise. All right. I need to make this twice as long. Right, so I'm taking this. I'm doubling the length of this loop. The loop is unlinked. Did I do the wrong one? Oh, shoot. I lost track of which loop I was working on. This is the one I want. Let's make that 1 bar instead of 2 beats. Change the start point. There you go. Something else needs to be changing, right? All right, since I just brought in the vocal sample, I'm going to keep it going here. And then I feel like it's too soon. It's too soon to take out that chord stab. But maybe I can. Here's an idea. I haven't used the ride cymbal yet. Maybe I'll bring the ride cymbal in right at 97. And I still missed the clap. Still missing that clap. I guess it just got too much energy to take it away. Bring those hi-hats back in. Now the vocals clip kind of is double time now. Not sure about that. I think I'm gonna remove the ride and then have it come back. And then when the ride comes back, let's take the kick drum out again. I'm getting tired of that vocal sample, so let's chop that out. Right, and what's kind of happening naturally here is I started out with less action, less things changing back and forth quickly, and it's sort of more hypnotic in the beginning, growing slowly, and building up the energy. I still got to figure out how to bring in those chords. Might just do the easy thing and put a low pass filter on them. Right? Building up to the energy with all the percussion. And then we have our kind of small break where the claps come in and it gets a little more intense. And then the rides. And then from here on in, to keep the energy up and to keep things interesting, I'm like switching back and forth more quickly once we get past here. So like, for example, the first time the rides come in, they're in there for however many, 8 bars. And then the next time they come in for a shorter amount of time. And we'll try to start bringing things in and out more quickly. And I'm kind of, with all the other stuff going on, I'm losing, I can't hear the kind of metallic percussion in there, so maybe. Bring in that, while wherever something needs to happen, that's where I'm thinking about doing automation. Got to go back down there again. Something needs to happen there too. Right, I'm starting to discover more about what to do with this arrangement. This is good. How are we doing for time? 1:44. I need to take a breath. Let's go back and hang out a little bit and see what you guys are up to in the chat. All right, Live Society says, how about every other one with a gated reverb wash? On which sound? There's already so much reverb. I was already thinking that it's happening too often on that drum loop with the automation on that one beat from the drum loop. Sean says, still think you need some heavy screeching reverb sound that introduces or takes away the elements. That, I know what you mean by that. That is like that's a stylistic choice. And, you know, there's definitely techno that have those big exaggerated hits, right? And I have something like that. Is it this one? Yeah. It's a little dark. I think there's a filter on it. There you go. And there's a lot of reverb on it, obviously. All right, and it's I need to work on this sound. But I think that's what you're talking about. Every now and then dropping in like a stab or a hit that kind of excites everything. And we're getting there. You know, that's definitely part of this process. I'm still in the rough stages here. But you're right. And that is coming. And there's also, you know, the other ear candy stuff like the white noise, the swirly white noise, which I like. Kind of polymetric. It's like going every 3 beats or something. All right. Let's figure out what to do with the chords. This is kind of what I was getting stuck on, is how to bring in the chords. All right, so let's start from the beginning. Oops. And turn off the noise, sorry. sometimes, I'm sure y'all have heard this before. You'll hear like a kick being loud but no sub, and then you just drop the sub. It's like what a DJ does, right? Maybe that's too high though. That's better. It's a little floppy sounding, but whatever. This is rough. So we got to figure out, it's starting out with this smoother, more hypnotic intro for mixing in. How are we going to sneak the chord in? Live Society has a suggestion. Reverse the chords, blending them in. Like, yeah, maybe. It's a good idea. Oh, that's another thing I wanted to do is play with this bandpass on the overdrive on that drum loop. That could be happening all over the place. All right, so there's a couple ways. There's a couple of ways we can handle this. I mean, it kind of comes in suddenly, right? And that could be okay. You know, there was the comment earlier about how tracks always start the same. Yeah, so here's an opportunity where, all right, it comes in suddenly out of nowhere, but maybe that's good. Maybe I can make that work somehow. I can exaggerate it so that you're like, right? It sort of like wakes you up suddenly when that something comes in randomly, semi-randomly. Like, how could I do that? Like a little mini drop out of the kick maybe for a second, and there could be like a that already makes it work better. You're like you're high, rather than trying to sneak it in, you're just like, pay attention to it. All right. And there is automation to be played around with. You could start lower. Maybe if it's a little less bright in the beginning. I'm not sure. I kind of like it just being. I'm going with it. I'm just like, this is where it's happening. There's no rule that says it can't do this. Maybe one of these guys. All right. Just one of them. And with the filter, it's too bright now. Yeah, just like one of those stabs right there. Let's see if that works. I'm experimenting now. Might keep it, might not. Let's see. Okay, I'm just gonna let it live like that. I'm even gonna put the ride in early. Again, I'm kind of just, it's a little awkward, but in a good way. Right away, I'm just gonna start bringing the filter up on that chord stab. Bring that back down again. Now Now I feel like I want the ride again, but it's going to come in half the time. There's another filter. Like it's gotta go bigger this time because this is the longer break. All right, that needs a more of a. If that's a big, we have to think about this. Like, I don't want it to be like big, build up, and then drop, right? This isn't that kind of style of music, right? I wanted to keep the hypnotizing thing going, right? But there's still, I feel like that transition needs a little bit more contrast so that when the kick comes back, it has some more oomph. So let's see. This would be a place maybe to like take the bass away or do something. Here we go. That always works. And then when that comes back, it's going to be ridiculous. Yeah, much better. Just taking that bass away was the move. Chord up again. Having that reverb every however many bars is working. Where's that other filter? Red frequency, there it is. You can hear the tweaking of the metallic thing in the background. I think we need to go down a level here. Yep. Almost done. Almost. I mean, there's some ear candy to do, but I feel like the overall structure is working. There's enough energy and action in the middle of it, going up and down. I like how the chords came in at an odd time. Why not? And there's still so much to do. All right, let's stop and breathe again for a second. There's still so much to do with like automation of all the sounds. I mean, I can play around with the claps. There's still even a couple of more elements that I didn't put in yet. And then, it's right now is the finessing time, but I feel like I can say that I mostly arranged a track in less than an hour, right? And that's mostly what, this subtractive arranging and like forcing yourself to just lay it out and pick a starting point and pick an end point and then arbitrarily making a change in the middle, and then it just accelerates the process so much. I mean, this track could be done today, no problem. I can, a few more tweaks, probably a little bit of work on the mix, and then it'll be ready to like try it out in a set. Maybe not to publish, right? But to like get the real world feedback, like how well does it work on the dance floor? Do your friends like it? That kind of stuff. And then, if maybe the kick drum's not quite punching enough, then I'll go back and like perfect some things, make sure the levels are right, make sure the mix is good. But for the most part, I feel like we're so close.
I hope you enjoyed that. Again, if you want to watch the full stream, head over to studio.343labs.com, link in the description below. And that is our new producer hub where you can find free content, collaborate with other musicians, get feedback on your music, and just meet a community of like-minded artists and producers. See you next time.